What is the largest organ of the human body? Skin. Which organ pumps blood? Heart. Which organ is most harmed by smoking? Heart. What are the air sacs in the lungs called? Alveoli. Which organ detoxifies harmful chemicals? Liver. What nutrient is most important for building muscles? Protein. Which organ is most harmed by excessive sugar intake? Liver. What is the main function of red blood cells? Carry oxygen. Which organ is responsible for memory? Brain. Which habit harms the lungs the most? Smoking. Which body system controls all actions? Nervous system. Which organ filters waste from the blood? Kidney. Which organ regulates blood sugar? Pancreas. What type of blood cells help fight infections? White blood cells. What organ is most harmed by alcohol? Liver. Which organ allows vision? Eye. What is the function of the small intestine? Absorb nutrients. Which organ controls breathing rate? Medulla. Which organ is most harmed by dehydration? Kidneys. Which vitamin is produced in the skin under sunlight? Vitamin D. What protects the brain? Skull. Which organ stores urine? Bladder. What is the main function of platelets? Help blood clot. Which organ is most affected by loud noise? Ear. Where is the heart located? Left chest. What is the smallest bone in the body? Stapes. Which organ uses oxygen to make energy? Brain. Which organ helps balance the body? Inner ear. Which food is most harmful to teeth? Sugary candy. Which organ is most harmed by lack of sleep? Brain. Which organ stores bile? Gallbladder. What part of blood carries nutrients? Plasma. Which organ removes carbon dioxide from the blood? Lungs. What protects the spinal cord? Spine, vertebrae. Which organ is most harmed by high blood pressure? Heart. Which cells send electrical signals? Neurons. Which organ makes digestive enzymes? Pancreas. Which organ helps regulate body temperature? Skin. Which organ is most harmed by overeating fatty foods? Liver. Which organ helps maintain posture? Skeleton. What is the function of the large intestine? Absorb water. Which organ is most harmed by poor hydration? Kidney. Which organ helps produce red blood cells? Bone marrow. What part of the eye senses light? Retina. Which organ is responsible for hearing? Ear. Which organ is most harmed by pollution? Lung. Which organ controls hormones? Pituitary gland. Which organ helps digest fats? Liver. Which organ is most harmed by dehydration and overheating? Brain. Which system includes the heart and blood vessels? Circulatory system.